All right, folks, here we go. So listen, let me tell you something. Last night and today, we have had so many problems with our show notes server where all the images come from. These folders, they're literally, it's like the system is down. By the grace of God, I was able to get these folders open. So anyway, I'm going to go very slow because I don't have a lot of confidence that if I switch a picture that I'll be able to get the folder back, because the link and the URL for all these images is really behaving very strangely. Surprise. Okay, well, let's pray. In the name of Yeshua, Father, I pray a hedge of protection over this information right now. Father, give your angels charge over me concerning everything I do right now. In the name of Yeshua, protect us, protect the minds and the hearts of the people that are here to receive this information, and block the enemy. For greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. Amen. Yes, I feel the presence of the Lord. Okay, so we're going to go slow and methodically. Okay, slow and methodically. Get some popcorn, pause it, get a soda. I'm not going to be in a hurry to deliver this. I'm going to do it nice and slow. Before I start, I'm going to just give you a blanket statement. The human host body, represented by a hendecagram, which in Jewish mysticism is called the Kelapot, is ruled over by the Queen of Heaven. The host body system is inherently evil, and it is cannibalistic in nature. And inside every host body is a cannibalistic system that occurs where the spirit of God, the energy of God's angels, is being cannibalized by a demon in order to take a soul to hell as food for another race of beings, which are the locusts from the pit. I wanted to just get that out, say it very, very clearly, very, very directly what it is. The human host body is used as an energy transfer system in order to snare one of God's children, an angel, put it in a system in which that energy is transmuted and used for another species, which is Apollyon and the locusts from the pit. Revelation 9 says, "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the pit, and smoke rose out of the pit, and like the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. And unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power." Scorpions have blue blood, by the way. Have you ever heard the term blue bloods? The elite, the queens, the kings, they're called blue bloods. Scorpions have blue blood. So do octopus and squid. Have you ever seen the symbol of the octopus used for the Rothschild? For the Rothschild machine, there's maps that show an octopus with its tentacles reaching all forms of government. Okay. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing nor any tree. By the way, that's all that locusts really do. That's all they really do, is hurt those things. But only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was that of the torment of a scorpion when it striketh a man. So it's going to sting people. These locusts have stingers, and the torment is in their sting. It says, "In those days men shall seek death and will not find it." I'd like to make a comment about that. Pretty much any grown man that wants to seek death can find it. there's only one way I can imagine you won't be able to find it, is if you're incapacitated or not in control of your own facilities. In those days men shall seek death and shall not find it, and desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like horses prepared unto battle, and the heads were as like crowns of gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running into battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in the tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them. Now listen very closely. Now we're at Revelation 9:11. The Twin Towers were bombed on 9/11 for a reason. The number 911 on all police cars is there for a reason, because this is their God. And there's an above ground avatar system that is run from below. They had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue has the name Apollyon. Okay. Now, I want to tell you what the word government means. You can go look it up for yourself. Government means, as from governare. I showed you the Palacio de Governare in the Vatican. We're going to look at it again. I showed you the CIA building. We're going to look at it again. They are identical. They have two twin buildings that are joined together by a building in the middle. And that is the government of the world. Even in the buildings themselves, let me see if I can pull it up very quickly. You know what? I'm not going to do it very quickly. I'm just going to do it nice and slow if I can pull it up. There we go. Here is the Palacio de Governare. And again, let me show you the definition of government. Governare means to control, and mentis, the mind. The Latin noun mens, mentis, means mind. So government means to control the mind. Governare, to control. Mentis, to control the mind. Okay, now I'm going to show you an image of the Palacio de Governare in the Vatican. Right there. Now remember, this split sidewalk is the tongue of the serpent, which is the entire Vatican building itself. The entire Vatican building is made into a large serpent wearing a crown. And this sidewalk right here that you're seeing right here, that is the tongue. So the mouth that speaks for the serpent. And this is the halls of government. This is the Palacio de Governare. You'll see one rectangular building here, and its identical twin right here, joined together by a building in the middle, where the one that rules it walks in the middle of the door, in the middle, in between the two buildings. Let me show you the CIA building. The CIA building is the same. Now, I'm going to try and enlarge this. Oh, Lord, please let this work. If not, let's see. If not, oh my gosh, it enlarged. Wow. I didn't even do it. Wow. Okay, this is an image of the CIA government building. You have one building that's rectangular with this corner that's got these triangles, and its identical twin over here. So even the government itself is twins. The buildings themselves are in the orientation of two twin buildings that are joined together by a building in the middle, and you walk right in the middle of the door. If you look at this on Google Images from the other side, just type in Google Images CIA building and look at it from the other side, you'll see that, where all the cars park, you'll see it from another angle. But for us today, I'm just going to do this. There it is. A rectangular building, another rectangular building, identical, joined together by a building in the middle. Lord, please let this work. Please let this work today. We are just under so severe attack. Please. Yeah, this whole system has come under extreme attack. I'm going to try and make, I will try and, did it do it? Oh, let's see, it did it. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. So we'll try and, I'm not going to worry about editing. Wow, there it is. Okay, Lord, please. Okay. Try and change this. We'll try and go about it another direction. Because we are having so many server problems. I believe, I made the announcement yesterday. Maybe I shouldn't have made that announcement. Gregory, I got to call you back. I'm in the middle of a video and I'm having all kinds of equipment problems. Okay, bye. Yep, we are having problems. Okay, sit tight. Oh, jeez. I'm going to pause this. Okay, so I was able to get it back. Guys, y'all are going to have to bear with me. Like I said, we're under attack. So what I'm going to show you today in a nutshell is I'm going to show you that the human host body is a host body system, and that the CIA as well as the Catholic Church have some common denominators. And when we get to the end of the road, you're going to see the way that the human host body is used as that energy transference mechanism. It's a host body. Now, here we go. So we know that locusts are coming out of the pit. Okay, let's take this folder and let's slide it back to where it goes right there. Okay, now let's get ready for this. Okay, let's talk about the hendecagram very quickly. Okay, y'all know that the hendecagram is the geometric design that the Statue of Liberty sits on top of. I showed you that's the Statue of Liberty. The name is Libertas, also Eleutheria, which is very, very odd considering my testimony. So this goddess that sits on top is Eleutheria. It is also representative of what's called the triple goddess. We will get to that in a minute, in just a little while. But remember, this mother goddess takes on many, many forms. So the mother goddess statue, it takes on many forms, but I want you to pay attention to the torch that's over her head, and I want you to read the application of what a hendecagram is used for. An application of a hendecagram is prisms over the hendecagram's 11.3 and 11.4 points may be used to approximate the shape of DNA molecules. Now I'm going to break that down in just a kind of a basic statement. There's actually the idea of using light, bending light, to approximate what the shape of a DNA molecule might look like. Kind of think of maybe a human that had a cloaking device over it or something like that, where what you're looking at sure looks human, but it's not as human as you think. Okay, so the application of a hendecagram, and I'll show you again, is prisms over the hendecagram 11.3 and 11.4 may be used to approximate the shape of DNA molecules. Okay, now on top of the hendecagram, the Statue of Liberty, Libertas, Eleutheria, it's also this triple goddess that goes back to Eos, the moon goddess, and Hecate, And we'll get to that in just a minute. Now, that geometric design that she is standing on top of is called a chelipod. And I want you guys to just take notice of something. I'm going to go back and I want to show you something. You see this circle right here and this line going to this integragram? I want you to look at that very closely. What a very interesting thing. So they have this circle with this kind of walkway going to the integragram. Does that look like anything on your screen? A circle outside the structure with a walkway going to the structure itself. Okay, this is called a chelipod. And let me show you what a chelipod is. Okay, so a chelipod in Jewish Kabbalah, it literally means a peel, shell, or husk. Think of your body. And it is representative of evil or impure spiritual forces in Jewish mysticism and the polar opposites. Okay? And it houses a system that is in conflict with itself. So the chelipod is ruled over by the queen. And this queen represents, again, Themiel, which are dual and opposing forces like good and evil. So this queen rules over the host body system that represents good and evil, polar opposites within that system. What have I been showing you guys repetitively? In order to see the kingdom of heaven, you have to turn everything upside down. You have to be born again. When you take an image of the Virgin, by the way, this image of the Statue of Liberty, which is actually Eos, it's also Hecate, it's also the moon goddess. This statue right here is also a representative of this image of the Virgin, because it's a Virgin Mother Goddess statue. That's what that statue represents. And when you turn it upside down, you get a dead sheep. Okay, again, I wanted to go over some of the basics for anyone that doesn't understand some of this stuff. Now, let's keep moving. I've shown you guys repetitively. Again, I'll show you again. Rats, I shouldn't have clicked on it. That the wow, it worked. That the Vatican itself, the entire building, is a giant serpent wearing a crown. That is so ridiculously easy to see that it doesn't require me even really pointing it out. However, right here is the window. Down here on the ground is that sidewalk, and that sidewalk that comes out of the mouth of that serpent goes right to the halls of government. And the word government means mind control. And again, the tongue of the serpent goes to the hall of government right there, and the word government means mind control. And the halls of government are duplicitous, just like the Statue of Liberty, representing a good and evil force within one host body system. This is the government of the entire world. Okay, now let's see if this thing will go back. Come on, work, please. Okay, again, I was able to barely get it back. So when it freezes up, I'm going to pause and I'm going to come back. So, and again, the Vatican itself is a giant serpent wearing a crown. Okay, now let's go to this final folder. We're going to start here. Now, the chelipod, the 11-pointed star from Kabbalah. I want everybody to take a very good look what's in the middle of this thing. There is a right side up and upside down interlocking triangles, and in the very center of that is the sigil of Baphomet, representing the goat-headed god. Okay, now I've already shown you guys the definition of a kilopot as a host body and is the representation of evil or impure spiritual forces in which they're polar opposites. So there is a fight going on within that system of polar opposites, and here it says, I'm just going to click on this and hope it works. If not, I'll try and enlarge it. We need this image right here. The number 11 is represented in the 11-pointed star that the Statue of Liberty sits on, which is called a hendecagram. It represents the kilopot, which means peel, shell, or husk of the tree of knowledge. Of the tree of knowledge, folks. Of the tree of knowledge. Remember that. The knowledge. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. So the kilopot is the shell that houses the energy that is in opposing forces, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right side up and upside down. Okay. In Jewish Kabbalistic cosmology, the kilopot are metaphorical shells surrounding holiness. They are spiritual obstacles receiving their existence from God only in an external rather than internal manner. Isis is not only holding the light above humanity, but she is also the goddess of duality. Okay? Who represents evil or impure spiritual forces. Okay? So let's try and go back now. If it doesn't go back, I'm going to pause it. Yes. Praise God. All right. Okay, so now let's keep moving. Okay, so on 9/11, don't forget, always remember the 11-pointed star represents the dual opposing forces that are in conflict with each other. One is cannibalizing the other. Remember I showed you guys Beyonce at the Grammy Awards. She was wearing her dress that had, you know what? I'm just going to show it to you. Okay, again, so here is Beyonce. And let me show you, Beyonce is, she's dressed as the Queen of Heaven. Right here. Over here to the left, see, she's dressed as the Queen of Heaven. This is the same as the Mother Goddess that's standing on top of the kilopot. That she is a representation of the Queen of Heaven. And here is an image of the Queen of Heaven right next to her. They're identical. Now, remember, I'm going to show you in just a minute that the Queen of Heaven masquerades in many, many, many forms. She masquerades in the form of what's called the Triple Goddess, as Hecate, as Selene, as the Moon Goddess. And it's all the same thing, just under a different package. And you're about to see, as well as Kali. I'm sorry, I just looked down and saw the image of Kali. And see, she's got her tongue sticking out in these other images right here. And the people that stick their tongue out, that is the spirit that is in them. I've told you, I've had people say, hey, Johnny, how you doing? And they stick their tongue out at me. And when they stick their tongue out at me, I know that that spirit is inside of them that, you know, would draw a picture of me as an image of a dead sheep. Every time in the images of the dead sheep, they put the sheep's tongue sticking out. That is the common denominator. Let me go very slow. You know what? Y'all have seen it. I'll edit that in. Okay. So again, Beyonce is dressed as the Queen of Heaven. She's a representation of the Queen of Heaven. If anyone saw her performance, you'll see that she asked, do you remember when you were born or you were formed in your mother's womb? And then she pushed this spirit out, like she gave you life. She's the one that rules over the host body system. Now, here is the image of Beyonce in her dress at the Grammy Awards. I'm just going to stretch the screen and you can see that image right there, that she has on her stomach a serpent eating its own tail, and there's the face of a woman in the middle of the serpent. And I'll go back and refine this or show you. And the woman has her eyes closed. Her eyes are closed because she's blind now. She's not able to see. All humans are blind. We're born blind, and we're born dead. And the serpent is ruling over the host body system, where we are trapped, where our souls are trapped. The serpent is in the middle of what's called an isotoxal star. That's very important. An isotoxal star represents a poly. Let's see. You know what? Let me just get it. Sorry, let me just slow down. An isotoxal image is an image that changes faces, changes dimensions, and one edge changes to the other. So basically, it changes faces. So if you're looking, it's like looking in a mirror, so to speak. It's from one edge to another. It's also a dimensional change within the object. An isotoxal star is a 3-pointed or 4-pointed star. And inside that isotoxal star, it has an image of a woman, and it is surrounded by the Ouroboros. Let me see. A 3 or 4-pointed star is called isotoxal. Let's see, I hope this works. Yes. Let me click on this. So, hopefully we'll get at least to restore. Again, an isotoxal image without clicking on it is an image that changes faces, while the outward manifestation remains the same. It is internally changes, but however, the outward appearance of the image remains the same. That is what isotoxal means. Let me see. I would sure like to be able to get this to print out, to enlarge. There it is. Unbelievable. Okay. In geometry, a polytype, for example, a polygon or polyhedron, or I'm telling you, is isotoxal or edge transitive. If its symmetries act transitively on its edges, informally, this means that there is only one type of edge to the object. Given two edges, there is a translation, one to the other, like that. Okay, you understand? So there is a translation, rotation, and or reflection that will move one edge to the other while leaving the region occupied by the object unchanged. Think of your body and a set of twins rotating, where one's right side up and one's upside down, and as they rotate, they remain, the system remains the same, but they've changed edges. So you'll understand that as we continue later in this presentation. Okay, now we've covered Beyonce has an isotoxal star on her stomach. She has the Ouroboros wrapped around the twins that she's carrying in her belly. In the beginning, the first children that were born were Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel. As one takes over the other one, it becomes cannibalistic, cannibal. That's why the first two children were named Cain and Abel. In every host body or kelipot that the Queen of Heaven rules over, which is your body, you have opposing forces, just like you're looking at right here, Cain and Abel. You have opposing forces that are at war with each other, and one is cannibalizing the other while leaving the outward appearance the same, isotoxal. Okay? So basically, in essence, you are being cannibalized internally by a force that is cannibalizing the good, and the evil has cannibalized the good. and the outward appearance has remained the same, so the human body looks the same, but inside it has become inherently evil. That's what this represents. Okay, now that we got that, we're ready to move on. This is going to be good. Okay, now I'm ready to start dropping the bomb and the new information, so you guys get ready. Okay, again, remember, the reason the Twin Towers were bombed right there is because the queen that rules over the host body system is the queen of the twins. She's the queen of the twin system. Do you understand? She's the queen of duality. And so the Twin Towers were bombed, and then in their place was put the One World Freedom Tower, where Barack Obama wrote on top of the singular building, "We remember, we rebuild, we come back stronger." And he's referring to the Nephilim after the flood. By the way, which is everybody, which is every single host body. So don't think you're not included, because every human being is included. And he said, "We remember, we rebuild, we come back stronger, WWW 666. And he's claiming that the host body, which is made of carbon, 6 atoms, 6 protons, 6 electrons, has now made its comeback and is the host body for the cannibalistic evil entity that has taken over the host body system." That's what this entire image you're looking at is a representation of. Okay, let me put this screen down a little bit. Okay, now, again, the Ouroboros with Beyonce is self-cannibalism. It's called autosarcophagy, and it means self-cannibalism. And you're looking at her. You can't, there's no arguing the fact that she's wearing an isotoxal star on her stomach. I've shown you the definition of an isotoxal star. We'll put it up again once we edit this video. And the serpent is wrapped around the twin system, because the serpent rules over that system, which is twins, which is inside every human host body. Okay, now here we go. Now that brings us to this. This brings us to the twin system. I'm going to check these folders before we get started, because I want to be able to drag images and build stuff like I showed y'all the other day. It looks like it may actually be working. I'm going to try this. See if I can pop up another Twins 1 folder. Lord, please let this work. Okay, guys, there's a big reveal coming here in just a few minutes. I had to get all this stuff down because I don't know if this stuff's going to crash or not, and I want to get it all out in one time. So, again, the human host body is an energy transfer system called a kelopot, a husk, a peel, a shell, in which the essence of God, which is one of his angels, has been trapped within a host body system, where it is being cannibalized within that shell, that kelopot, and it is ruled over by the Queen of Heaven, and she is holding the torch above her head, keeping everything below her in the darkness. Okay, so, and then you're being cannibalized. Okay, here we go. And all this blank space, once we edit it, we'll take out all this blank space. But I've got to just stay with it, guys, so y'all stay with me. Okay, here we go. Okay, now, this twin system is made manifest constantly. Let's see, let's get this open. Sorry. Since it switched, I'm going to go ahead and try and do it. We've been having such problems with this server. Oh, praise God. Okay, here we go. Okay, open up. Oh, crap. Sorry. Please, Lord, let this work. Okay, again, praise God. I got it open. Okay, now this is taken from the Catholic Church, and this is very important because what you're looking at here is a double-headed phoenix. Here's the head of one phoenix, and here's the head of the other. Now that represents, that represents the system that you're caught in. You're caught in this cannibalistic system, and you're caught because of the commingling of two different DNAs, the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman in Genesis 3 in the Bible. And the serpent said unto the woman, did God tell you if you partook of the tree you would not die? And she said, yes, neither can we touch it lest we die. The word touch means euphemistically to lay with like a woman. Okay. Now, I don't want to click on this again. I want to use what we got. Okay, so here we go. So I want you to look at these two DNA strands. Here's a DNA strand from one species, and here's a DNA strand from another species. Well, they interlock to make twin V's. Now I'm going to reduce it in size, and you can see it makes the letter W. And it has two interlocking V's to make the W. Now that is the government of the world. You're looking at the actual government of the world, and it is ruled over by the serpent. Now I'm going to go to this folder, and I'm going to grab this image of the serpent, and I'm going to drag it into that folder. And there you go. See, there it is. That's a really great representation right there. We have the image of this green serpent, and I'm going to lay it right on top of that crown. You can see the crown is actually the head of a serpent. It's a crown, and it's the serpent. See, it's the same as the Vatican, folks. It's identical, and it's ruling over the double-headed phoenix, which is the entire host body system above ground. Now remember, I said above ground because we're getting ready to launch into the big reveal, the last puzzle piece of the puzzle that the Lord showed me. So above ground, there is a serpent twin system. You're looking at it. It is ruled over by the serpent, okay? And it has the DNA from two different species, and it is called the double-headed phoenix. Okay, there we go. Now, all right, let's see if this will go back. Golly, please, Lord, let this work. Okay, we are just in the middle of, we're in the middle of this, folks. And this will work. Oh, praise God. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, so now again, I'm going to show you where this manifests in real life. Okay, now I want to show you something. I want to read to you guys some parts of the Bible. Okay, well, y'all should know that I've shown you the Targum Jonathan. The Targum predates the Bible. A lot of people get all hung up. Oh, it's not the Bible. You're right. It's more concise than the Bible. Because the Targum was used by the Jewish rabbinical teachers to teach the Jews. By the way, Christianity came from Judaism, so you know. Yes, Jesus was a Jew. Okay, so the Targum was used to teach the lay people, and the rabbinical teachers would sit everybody down and teach from the Pentateuch and from the Targum. Go look it up. I've done my homework. And this is from the Targum, and it's from Genesis 3. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and show it to you just because I want everybody to know. Watch. And you can go look at it yourself. Okay, here we go. Targum. Hopefully this is the one I usually use. I don't want to get caught up in it. I'll tell you what, I'll have Clay edit it in. I don't want to get into a buffering system. Oh, this isn't the actual text. I'm sorry. That's not the actual text. I will have Clay edit it in for you. Okay, I'm just going to read to you from the Targum. And Adam knew Hava, his wife. If you go on eSword and you read Genesis, when you look at the word Eve, you'll see that her name is really Hava when you translate it. And Adam knew Hava, his wife, who had desired the angel, and she conceived, and she bare Cain. And she said, I have acquired a man, the angel of the Lord. And she added to bear from her husband Adam his twin, even Abel. And if you look up Abel, the name for Abel is really Abel. So say Cain, Abel. Cain, Abel. Cain, Abel. The name of the first two children was the system that rules the whole earth. Cain, Abel. Okay. Now they're going to be expelled from the garden. And it said, and Adam called the name of his wife Hava, Eve, because she is the mother of all the children of men. And the Lord God made to Adam and to his wife vestures of honor from, look at that, the skin of the serpent, which he had cast from him. Now, here you have the Ouroboros on Beyonce. When you look at the Vatican itself, the Vatican building itself, I'm sorry, that just clicked off. The Vatican building itself is a giant serpent that's pregnant, that's wearing a crown. Right there. That's the reason they built the whole building in the shape of a serpent that's pregnant, because it's pregnant with the entire human race. And the one that rules over it is the Mother Goddess. That's why the Catholics worship the Virgin, because the Virgin is the God of this world. She's masquerading as God. It's Lucifer masquerading as God through the Mother Goddess system. Now, I want y'all to remember what that window right there is? Do y'all remember that window right there? That window is, it's a dead sheep with its tongue sticking out. That window is also a vagina, the female reproductive system, when you turn it upside down. Let me show you what else it is. By the way, while we're here looking at this one page, just for editing purposes, I want to show you something. There is the double-headed phoenix, which is the serpent, where the crown serpent over the double-headed phoenix. So there's a serpent with a crown. The head of the serpent is the crown ruling over the two DNAs over the double-headed phoenix. And then there, right there, is the Vatican itself, which is a serpent wearing a crown. And then here it is from the other direction, and the serpent wearing the crown. And the mouth, the tongue of the serpent, the Lord told me go follow the tongue. And the tongue of the serpent goes to two identical buildings, twins. See the twins? And they are connected by a building in the middle. And that represents the Mother Goddess. That is the government, the Mother Goddess that rules over the two that are in opposing forces. That is the God of this world. Okay, there it is. Okay, now, let's get into the big reveal now. Let me just get everything where it needs to be. Okay, so we are basically serpent humans is what we really are. We're gods, but we shall die like men. We're all angels that got caught in the snare of the devil, and we're being converted into food for another race of beings that's in the pit. So now let's go ahead and launch into that part now. Okay. Well, before I launch into that part, let me establish the twin. Okay, here's the two interlocking V's make a W right there. And you can see that's the same as the W above the double-headed phoenix. Here's two interlocking V's that make a W. And that's from this bottle of wine. I saw it at the store the other day. The guy was blindfolded. It said blindfold. And there's a slave. He's blindfolded to a tree, like the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And then it's from the Prisoner Wine Company. There it is. Look at the W's. The Prisoner Wine Company. Look at the letter W. Interlocking V's, the twins. See? The interlocking V's represent the twins, which is you, which represents you're a prisoner and you're blindfolded. And the serpent is laughing at you. A long time ago, I did a video, a breakdown of a commercial from Jaguar. There were 3 different Jaguar commercials. There was one where Tom Hiddleston was reciting from Richard II, and he was in an underground parking garage. And on his license plate, he had VXV. I said that means loud and clear, which it does, but now that I've had some time to resolve the entire mystery, let me show you. It's loud and clear, and the loud and clearness of it is, there it is. The interlocking V's, there's an X in the middle. So when you interlock a V like this, when you interlock a V, let me shrink it down. When you interlock a V, it makes an X in the middle. See VXV, yes? And then when we look at the license plate from that commercial, it's VXV. And then the number 108 right here, the number 108 is representative of all of creation, and it is represented by the five-pointed star, which is also in the middle of the Kelipot. Remember, the five-pointed star is in the middle of the Kelipot. If I can find that again, we'll edit it in there. Okay, there we go. Let's shrink this down. Okay, then there's this woman named Marina Abramovic. She is a witch. She has spirit cooking parties. Now you understand what a spirit cooking party is. She's having a party because she knows their evil spirit is cannibalizing the Spirit of God. That's why they have spirit cooking parties. She invites Miss Clinton, John Podesta. They are absolute sick, twisted, cannibalistic people, pedophiles. And every spell that she starts with the letter W. You can see those are two interlocking V's because she knows that one spirit is literally cooking the other because it's being used as fuel for their fire, for their race of beings. Okay, and again, here's Twin Liquors. It's a nationwide chain. The letter W is made by two interlocking V's. Again, it's very important that you understand the letter W is made by two interlocking V's. Here's the city of Waco, Texas. The city of Waco, Texas, when you drive into the city, it has this image right out front, and it is two interlocking V's, and this is very important that you see the crescent moon and the star. The crescent moon and the star represent Apollo and the moon goddess. That's what the crescent moon and the star predate, and they go back to the Babylonian religion, and it represents Apollo and the moon goddess. Okay, when you turn these two V's upside down, you get 9/11. And you get the crescent moon and the star. You see it? 9/11. And you remember that the Twin Towers were bombed on 9/11. Again, there's the representation of the whole system. So again, the queen, the moon goddess, I'm going to start calling her the moon goddess now and Hecate, because that's where this is going. You'll see it in a minute. So Hecate, or the moon goddess, is standing on top of the Kelipot, ruling over the system of duality as evidenced by the Twin Towers. And the Twin Towers were bombed because that mother goddess is saying, hey, the two are gone, and we've got our new host body, and we're about to come out of the pit, because the king of the bottomless pit is Apollyon, and the moon goddess and Apollyon are consorts. Now, here we go. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Okay, now, here's where things really get wild. Okay, now we're at the point to where I'm just going to start unleashing this bomb, and this is going to absolutely blow people away. Okay, y'all, for a quick review, you remember that Beyonce was standing and had a dress on that had an Ouroboros, which is self-cannibalization, and inside of her belly she had twins as a representation of Cain and Abel, because the system is cannibalistic, and she's dressed as the Queen of Heaven. Isn't that a perfect representation? Okay, now, see, they run all these people. This spirit literally runs Beyonce, runs Jay-Z. They are complete and utter slaves. And the slave collar they have on is so bad. to get their slave collar off would just be an act of the Lord God. It's not going to happen unless the Lord God just intervenes in a supernatural way on their behalf. They're not going to get out of it. Okay, so now let's look at the mystery solved. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to click on Eos and the son of Virginia. I want y'all to look at all these yourselves. Virginia, son of Virginia, Eos from Wikipedia, and Helios. I want you also to look at, well, you know what, we'll probably go through the symbolic meaning of a cicada because the Lord told me to look that up and it's part of my testimony. And you're going to have to hear this testimony because you won't believe where I went. Now remember, the whole system is ruled over by a twin system of V's. Okay, the whole system is ruled over by a twin system. And one of the outward representations that they use are the interlocking V's or an X in between two V's. And that represents the system that we're all caught in, this system of complete slavery. I want to show you just a couple other images of that before I move on. Here's the Twin Tower Bridge in London. It's called the London Bridge. And if you look at the plaque for the London Bridge right here, what do you notice about the letter W? Again, it's interlocking V's. And the bridge itself has twin towers. Okay, and so they have interlocking V's. Now I want to show y'all something just absolutely amazing. Okay. Before I go down to the bottom, I'm sorry. Before I go down to the bottom, I want to take this image of Cain and Abel, and I want to slide it right on top of the Twin Towers. Because that's what the Twin Towers represent. They represent the cannibalistic system, and you're looking at the Arch of Washington, and this Arch of Washington has a plaque on it that says Exitus Acta Probat, which means the outcome justifies the deed. And that means that's Satan saying it doesn't matter what we've done, we have achieved our goal. And so when these Twin Towers burned, they burned right through that arch. And here's a representation of that. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. This arch right here is actually the $20 bill. The Rockefellers made the arch, and the Rockefellers built the Twin Towers in that location, and they also made the U.S. currency, this $20 bill, to match exactly what you would see under the arch. And you're looking at spirit cooking. You're literally looking at spirit cooking under the arch right there. That's what you're looking at. That's what that is. You're looking at one spirit that cooked the other and used it as energy for a race of beings that's going to come out of the pit. Okay, I want to show you another movie that's at the theaters. It's called A Cure for Wellness. Look at the W. Interlocking V's making the W. Okay. Also, Albert Pike, he has his, at his mausoleum where he's buried, or his grave, they have a statue of him with a double-headed phoenix. This is just information. There's a double-headed phoenix. It happens to be where Albert Pike is buried. Now, I want to show you guys a movie. There's a movie that came out when I was a child. I saw it. I barely remembered it, but in the movie, it's a mad, 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 mad world. And in the movie, it's a mad, 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 mad world. They're all looking for this treasure, and there's 350 G's underneath this W. It's hidden under this W, and there's supposed to be this, big treasure under the W. At the end of the movie, Jonathan Winters is chasing a guy, and he runs in between those two trees, and he goes, "Oh my gosh," and he turns around, and he's like, "There it is," and there's this great treasure, and look at it. It's two interlocking V's. Let me show you something absolutely amazing. In the posters for the movie, when you see all the actors in front of those two trees, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 people. 11 pointed star, Kelapot, 2 intersecting V's, making a W. I mean, you got to be kidding, right? And again, here's another image, L3. They're all standing in front of the intersecting V's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Again, 11 people standing in front of a big W made by interlocking V's. That's impossible. Now, here is an X chromosome. I'm going to take that X chromosome. By the way, in genetics, the female donates, one of the autosomes is X, and in the male, one is Y. So there's the female represented by XX. And let me show you, see the X right there? That's holding the 2 together. That's what that represents. So the X chromosome in the middle of the 2 V's. That's where this is all going, so pay attention. Okay, now let's switch to the Apollyon folder. Okay, so here we go. The Statue of Liberty has many different names. It's a mother goddess figure. It's Libertas. It's Eleutheria in Greek. It's also Eos. The goddess of the dawn. Let me show you. In Greek mythology, Eos, pronounced dawn, is a titaness. Okay, think of the Statue of Liberty. Is it a big? Do you know the Statue of Liberty poem that mentions a colossus? That she's a colossus. Is a titaness and a goddess of the dawn. Look it up for yourself. Who rose each morning from her home at the edge of Oceanus. Okay. Helios, and associated with her is also Helios, the god of the sun. Okay, here we go. Helios, god of the sun. And Selene, goddess of the moon. So these are all associated with each other. Let's go back and let's look at this image. Okay, here we go. There you go. Goddess of the dawn. See, she's watching the dawn come up, the sun come up, and they worship the sun, and she's looking towards the sun. And now you're going to find out who's the one in the pit. What's the name of the one in the pit? They had a king over them. What's his name? Apollyon. Do you know Helios is the incarnation of the sun? Apollyon. Okay? Now watch. So there is the Statue of Liberty. Now it's obvious that she is also Eos, the goddess of the dawn, because she's standing next to the ocean watching the sun come up facing east every morning. Here's another awesome representation. Here she is standing ruling over the dual system with the torch held above her head. Okay, the cannibalistic system which she rules while she stands on top of the Kelapot, which is a shell, a peel, or a husk that houses the essence of God and is trapped in a cannibalistic system ruled by duality, right side up and upside down. Here's another image. Now the 2 are gone and the 1 is standing right in front of the Statue of Liberty. That the 2 have become 1. Now let me show you this. Now the Catholic Church, we're going to tie Catholicism together with the CIA. We already showed you the buildings are identical. Okay, they are identical. And now here we go. Here is the Pope right here, and he's holding a sun on it. This is called a crosier. It's actually called a monstrance. I think that's perfect because it's the whole thing is a monstrance. It's just, it's, everyone's a monster is the truth. We are all monsters. Okay, so here we go. He has an 11-pointed sun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's a 16-pointed sun. That's called the sun of Virginia, okay? And let me show you what the symbology of that is. Okay, the Virginia sun from Wikipedia. Now you're going to start seeing a common denominator. You're going to start seeing Helios. Okay, so the Catholic Church has a Virginia sun on his monstrance or his crosier. The Virginia sun, or the Star of Virginia, Macedonian star, is a 16-pointed star, and it also comes in 8-point and other points, but it's from ancient Greece, and it's associated with Helios. See right here? From Athena's temple, see? And Athena is the virgin goddess of war, right here. Okay? So there is Helios, which is the personification of the sun. And don't forget, all the Satanists, they are sun worshipers. So there is the Virginia sun, the 16-pointed sun. And let me show it to you now. And there is the 16-pointed sun on the monstrance carried by the Pope. This is off the altar from the Catholic Church. It is a 16-pointed sun with male and female rays. And it is showing a birth. So in the middle of the 16-pointed sun is the birthing of a child. That's from the Catholic Church. And here is a representation of Mother Goddess, the Moon Goddess, which is also associated with the Catholic Church. We're going to really hit this ball out of the park in just a second. Okay, guys, now I've shown you that the Catholic Church has the 16-pointed sun. They worship the sun. They're sun worshipers, and they also worship the Virgin. Okay, let's take this image of the Son of Virginia, and I'm going to drag it onto the shield right there of this warrior, Greek warrior. See? It's the same thing. Okay, now we're going to look at the CIA building. The CIA building has this image right here on the floor. It is a 16-pointed sun. It is also the Star of Virginia. Now remember, the CIA building right there is identical to the Catholic Palacio de Gubernare. It means mind control. Okay. Now, let's see. Even here is a depiction of a relief carving where one of the Greek warriors has the Son of Virginia, and if you look, it's really a sheep. He's got the head of a sheep. There's the eye of the sheep, and here's the fur of the sheep. There's the ear on the far side of the head. There's the nose. There's the mouth of the sheep coming under the chin. So they use the human sheep host body as a system of above ground avatars, and you'll see that in just a minute. And again, I'm going to drag the CIA building right on top of the building at the Vatican, the Palacio de Gubernare of mind control, that is again ruled by the twin system. Okay. Now, here we have in the Vatican, sorry guys, here we have in the Vatican an image of a guy in a slave collar. Okay, Isaiah said those who try and hide their plans turn everything upside down. Now remember, Beyonce, Jay-Z, all these people that are stars, you need to look at them like this. They're nothing more than slaves, and they're in their slave collars, and their slave collars are very, very big, and they are unbreakable. Okay, so here we go. Let's turn it upside down. So when we turn this guy in the slave collar upside down, it becomes this image of a locust coming out of a hole. I'm going to slide over here, and I'm going to show you that same locust. I'll show you one coming out of the ground. Here in Texas, we have cicadas. They're called locusts. People call them locusts and or cicadas. I'm going to zoom out from the image, and I'm going to show you there's that image of a locust coming out of the pit. Okay, now I want you to look how good this art is. Here's this guy in a slave collar, And look at his wavy hair. The reason they made his hair all wavy like that, what's the point of making this guy with this super wavy, Fabio hair? I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, right? The guy's in a slave collar. What, does he have some wonderful Fabio wavy hairdo? Or did they make his hair like that so when you turn the image upside down, you have an image of a locust coming out of a hole and its wings moving, and that makes the wind under the wings. That's why they did it like that. Now I'll show you this image right here. Picture D9. It's going to be kind of hard. It's going to be fuzzy, and I don't want to click on it. In the video that we edit, we'll click on this. We'll enlarge that image. But I don't want to enlarge it because I don't want to get the program stuck. So this is at the Catholic Church. You have a guy in a slave collar, and the guy in the slave collar becomes a locust from the pit. Now, let me show you another locust that's hatching. I'm going to take this image of a cicada. We call it a locust here in Texas. Some people call it a katydid. And I'm going to take it, and I'm going to slide it down right on top of this locust that's hatching out of this covering right here. Okay? I'll take this one and I'll slide it down right here. Maybe I'll increase that a little in size. And then, oh no. Oh. Lord, please let this go. Thank God. Okay. I'm going to take this and slide it down. And you can see that that's a locust hatching out of its shell. Even though locusts come out the backs of their shells, this is done by design. The Bible says in John 10, John 15, if I had not come and spoken to them, they would have no sin, but now they have no covering for their sin. Okay, let me show you what this is, and I've shown this to y'all, I believe, before. This is called a CIA challenge coin. You see it? This is passed around from members of the CIA, and they have these things. They're called challenge coins, and they pass them around. And it's a way to, build up camaraderie amongst the ranks by passing these coins around. And here's my search I did for it, so you can see that this CIA coin is in the middle of all these 11-pointed or 16-pointed Virginia suns. Okay, well, when I saw it, immediately the Lord grabbed a hold of me and told me, turn it upside down. And I did what he said. So now the Catholic Church, as well as the CIA, when you turn that image upside down right there, it becomes a locust coming out of the pit. And because this thing's a touch screen, it's very sensitive, and sometimes when I drag these images, it switches, but it seems to be working all right now. So there it is. There is a locust coming out of its covering. The Bible says in John 15, if I had not come and spoken to them, they had not sinned, but now they have no cover. They have no covering for their sin. You see, his identity is completely concealed because he's really a bug in an 11-pointed star called a kelipot, and the application of this thing is prisms over the decagram may be used to approximate the shape of DNA molecules. Now, what are you saying, Jonathan? What I'm saying is, just because you see something that looks human doesn't mean that what's behind the cover is human. Just wait. Okay, now remember, the Statue of Liberty is also called the moon goddess. It's Eos, the goddess of the sun, and there's this triple goddess that you're going to see here in just a minute. And the triple goddess is associated with the moon goddess and with Hecate and many other forms of Mother Goddess. Let me show you this image right here. And I'm just going to pray and hope it all works. I'm going to click on the triple goddess image. Lord, please. Typos. Yes. Okay, let's see. Maybe we can read it without. Okay, another lunar symbol is the triple goddess. It shows the moon in 3 of the 4 phases, waxing, full, and waning. The phases of the moon are linked with the monthly phases of a woman's cycle, each running about 28.5 days in length. The lunar phases are symbolic of the human lifespan. The waxing moon equates to growing up. The full moon is the phase of adulthood, and the waning moon is old age, and the dark moon is death. The triple goddess is usually worn and denotes the woman is a priestess. So this symbol right here is a symbol of the triple goddess. It's very important you understand that. I want you to understand what a hexagram is as well. A hexagram in Latin is also called a sexagram. It is formed by 2 interlocking right side up and upside down equilateral triangles. So if you look in the middle of this equilateral triangle, see, if you look in the middle of these 2 intersecting triangles, it makes a cell, kind of like you'd see on a beehive or something, like this. This is what it makes right here. So the 2 interlocking triangles, which is also called a sexagram, the 2 interlocking triangles, which is also called a sexagram, is also what happens to be in the middle of the kelipot. Let's see. Remember the kelipot right here that the Statue of Liberty is standing on? Let me show you what's in the middle of a kelipot. Take a good close look right here. In the middle of the kelipot is the right side up, upside down triangle, making a hexagram or a sexagram, and in the middle of that is the pentagram, which represents the goats, the sheep and the goats. The pentagram represents the goats. Those who try and hide their plans turn everything upside down. Okay, so within that cell that the interlocking triangles make, that looks like a beehive, you have, let's call it, the essence of the host body right in there. The new race of beings coming out of its little, beehive thing. Just, there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reduce that. I'll leave it on the screen. Okay. There we go. Okay, now. Okay, guys, so here we go. So I promised you guys that I would show y'all the last piece of the puzzle today. I wanted to make sure you saw all this other information, that you understood what a kelipot was. A kelipot represents the host body, every human host body, and it is a cannibalistic system, and it's ruled over by the Queen of Heaven. End of story. That's exactly what it is. That's why the Twin Towers were bombed. The Twin Towers represented that cannibalistic system, Cain and Abel, and they were destroyed because in its place, the Queen of Heaven, which is, the Mother Goddess, Catholic Church, whatever, the Queen of Heaven, the Triple Goddess, the Goddess of the Dawn, Hecate, all these different names for the same goddess, rules over the kelipot, which is your host body. And the system is a system of duality, polar opposites. I've shown you the definitions. I proved it using the definitions. The Lord God has given me a spiritual gift that proves it as well. Let's read what transmutation is. Transmutation is the action of changing or state of being changed into another form. I'll say it again. Transmutation is the action of changing or the state of being changed into another form. The conversion or transformation of one species into another. Okay, transmutation. Let's, So we get another. Okay. Alchemist series, the ancient metaphysical science or mystical art of manipulating and altering matter by using natural energy. Okay, this is very important. You read and understand this. Read it yourself and understand it. Okay. Metaphysical science, mystical art of manipulating and altering matter by using natural energy. Kind of like spirit cooking, remember? Marina Abramovic. This act is known as transmutation, and its sequence is usually described as, number one, comprehension, understanding the inherent structure and properties of the atomic or molecular makeup of a particle material to be transmuted. So number one, you have to understand what it is you're trying to change. Number two, including the flow and the balance of potential and kinetic energy within. I'm going to read that one more time. Comprehension, understanding the inherent structure and properties of the atomic or molecular makeup of a particle material to be transmuted. That means whatever you're going to change, you need to understand its properties, including the flow and balance of potential and kinetic energy within. Okay? And then there is deconstruction, using energy to break down the physical structure. Now, if you were an angel and you got trapped in a kelipot or an 11-pointed star host body called a human body, and you were an angel and you got birthed into a human body, that human body would be used to break down your energy, wouldn't it? That's why Beyonce was wearing. That's why Beyonce was wearing her isotoxal star with the Ouroboros wrapped around the twins. Deconstruction, using energy to break down the physical structure of the identified material into a more malleable state so as to be easily reshaped into a new form. So what you're going to do is you're going to decide what it is you're going to break down. Then you're going to use energy to break down the structure of it, like a cannibalistic system called a kelipot or a human host body, into a more malleable state so you can easily reshape it into a new form. So where does your energy go? It goes into the pit. And then reconstruction, continuing the flow of energy so as to reform the material into a new shape. So you identify your thing you're going to break down. Oops. Sorry. You identify the thing you're going to break down, and then you deconstruct what you're going to break down using energy to break it down, the physical structure, like your host bodies that are deteriorating. And then you break it down into a more malleable state so you can easily reshape it into a new form. And so the energy within that host body goes into the pit because it was never reconciled to God. And then you reconstruct it, continuing the flow of energy so as to reform the material into a new shape. So then the material that you're going to use, you're going to reshape into a new form. Oh, you mean kind of like a human in a slave collar, that when you turn it upside down, it becomes food for a locust that comes out of the pit. You mean kind of like that. Well, let me show you a transmutation circle real quick. You see that thing right there? That's a transmutation circle. Now, remember, we read the definition of transmutation. The action of changing or the state of being changed into another form. So, now let's look at the transmutation circle right here. Now, I want to show you guys something because I think it's important that you see the depth of this. Okay, here we go. You're about to get the reveal now. Okay, so the transmutation circle. Okay, so there we go. In alchemy, wow, see. Now let's have a look at this, images. So look at all the interesting transmutation circles, and it's very common. You have the right side up, upside down pyramid, right side up, upside down circle. You have a lot of them. Look, wow, the Ouroboros, look at that. There's the dragon eating its own tail with the right side up, upside down pyramid right in the middle. Let's see. It's very common to see images of the waxing moon and the waning moon, like right here. See right here, transmutation circle. See you'll have the waning moon or the waxing moon, and you'll also have the image of the triple goddess, which is a representation of the Statue of Liberty. Well, let's start looking at some people, and this is what the Lord told me to do. Go look at people, girls that have locust tattoos, cicada. Oh, let's look at that one. Wow, there's a cicada, and he's in, wow, look, so there you go. There's the part of the transmutation circle there. Again, see? The pyramid with the crescent moon. So this is in a transmutation circle. Let's look at this young lady right here with a cicada, and she's got an ankh for a ring, she's got a star for a ring, and she's got this other one that's a dragonfly, makes the head of an alien. But let's take a look at this image. What does she have right at the top of her locust? She has the same thing that's in the dead center of the Kelipot. See right there? Look on her chest. And there is the all-seeing eye. See? The sigil of Baphomet. This is triple helix DNA. This is also a symbol for witchcraft. And the Ankh, the key, using humans as food. That's what those symbols stand for. And why would a girl have a big bug tattooed on her? You know what? I found it was a common theme. Look, here's another girl. These are girls. And look right here on her arm. She has the crescent moon and the star, which represents Apollyon and the moon goddess. Here's another girl with a giant cicada or locust on her back. And I believe what's on her back is an image of, looks like the Queen of Heaven. It looks like a rudimentary image of the Queen of Heaven. Hopefully this will go backwards. Now get ready, guys. I told you I had a reveal for you, remember? And it's like, well, wait a minute. Why are all these girls having bugs tattooed on them? And they have cicadas, all of them. Let's take a look at this young lady. She's got the cicada tattooed on her chest, and she has the triple goddess on the tattoo. The triple goddess represents the life cycle. And I was like, wait a minute. They're inside transmutation circles. They're inside they have the image from the Kelipot. What's being produced inside the pit? They had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. Who had a king over them? Who had a king over them? The locusts had a king over them. The locusts had a king over them, which was the angel of the bottomless pit. And who is the above ground system that sends everybody to the bottomless pit? the mother goddess, the triple goddess of Eos, Eleutheria, it's a Hecate, it's a bunch of names. But let me show you, the Lord told me to look something up. The Lord told me, Jonathan, look up Mother of Exiles, because that's what the Statue of Liberty is called. The Statue of Liberty is called the Mother of Exiles. Let me show you what the Lord showed me. See if you guys figured it out. When I saw that image, the Lord told me, there it is, the mystery solved. You've got it. The Mother of Exiles uses the human host body as an energy transfer system to take God's angels and feed them to another race of beings inside the pit. And it's a race of locusts, and the king over them is Apollyon, the sun god, that's about to make his move on all of humanity. That's why you have an image of the Statue of Liberty holding a cicada in her chest. Is it a cicada, or is it a boy wrapped in an American flag? I'm here to tell you it's a cicada. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. Well, it gets better. It always gets better. So let me prove it out for you. Y'all ready to prove it out completely? Be done with this? The human host body is simply a trap for God's angels. Lucifer convinced a bunch of God's angels that they could have host bodies, they could have sex, they could have families, and they could have a host body system that they wouldn't die. It was a trap to get them trapped into a human host body so they could transmute them, they could change their essence, and they could capture them and send them to the pit, because they're under condemnation now. Because they can't go back to heaven, they're under condemnation. And they go into the pit and they become food for a race of beings. It's a locust. Let's take a look at this. Let's go in at the Vatican at number 5. Okay. Do you know what you're looking at? Now remember, that altar right there is the dead sheep. That's the dead sheep, and the circle is the female vagina. That's a giant bug, people. That's a giant locust you're looking at. Here's the antenna. Here's the other antenna. Here's the top of the head. And the mouth of the bug is where all God's children go. Here's what you're looking at. Over here is, I'll go through it very quickly as we approach the altar. There you go. It's a giant head of a locust. And then the mouth of the locust, as the image disappears, becomes the dimension into which God's children are caught in a transmutation. The human host body is nothing more than a system of transmutation to take one of God's angels and convert it to energy to another locust from the pit, because they're about ready to hatch and come out of that pit. The Lord told me to go and do this virtual tour. Let me show you what He's told me to do. Here comes the big reveal. I told you, we're used as food. The Lord told me to approach the altar. And as you look at this image of a dead sheep, by the way, people have consistently drawn images of Jonathan Kleck with dead sheep on the image they draw of me. The Lord told me simply to look up. It's a beehive. It's a hive. You see all the sexagrams You see all the sexagrams? It's a hive. There's a hive below us. And in the inside of the pit is a hive. And we are used as food for this creature. That's why all these hallways are cells, because they're birthing new ones from the use of angels. And the human host body is nothing more than a transmutation system in order to catch God's children and put them in a snare, which is the female reproductive system. That's why they worship the Virgin. Because Apollyon from the pit, the sun god, is about to make his move. That's why it's very common to see these girls. Look at all these girls that have locust tattoos hanging on the moon goddess. Let me show you the moon goddess. Let me show you who it really is. Do you ever read the Bible and there is a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet? Let me show you an image of the Virgin de Guadalupe. That's the moon under her feet. Let me show you an image of the triple goddess, Hecate, holding the torch. You see it? Triple goddess. Does that remind you of something? Does that remind you of? The Statue of Liberty, maybe? Holding the torch. There you go, holding the torch. The Statue of Liberty. She's holding the torch. She's the triple goddess, the moon goddess. Let me show you how it's always associated with this cicada thing. Look, right there. See? Let's look. There's the cicada. See the moon? Okay, now watch. Let me show you the spirit. There it is right there on this guy's back. That's the spirit. That is the witchcraft, the curse that's gone out over the whole earth. Now watch. These are all cicadas on women. Very few on men. Mainly women. And then here is, in Greek mythology, Thelene, the moon, is the goddess of the moon. She is the daughter of the Titaness Hyperion Thea and the sister of the sun god Helios and Eos, goddess of the dawn. This triple goddess system, 3 unclean spirits, like frogs up from the mouth of the beast, the dragon and the false prophet. Let me show you some artwork from people. That's perfect. It's like half skull, half human, vampire, locust coming out of one eye, teeth like a vampire. She's got a locust on her arm. And look, she's stitched together because there's something under the skin. See? I mean, it is manifest all over the place. But here's the big reveal of all time. The most dangerous place in the world is between a mother and her children. That's a cicada. That's a locust being held by the Statue of Liberty. Because the Statue of Liberty is the outward manifestation of the entire system. Because the Mother Goddess rules over the host body system. The reason they have locusts that are, the reason that there's locusts that are in these transmutation circles. Look at all these girls that have the transmutation thing on their bodies. Look at this. That's the entire transmutation system on this girl's back. And again, transmutation, crescent moon. See the XV, and inside the backs of these locusts, you'll see other images like lightning and skulls. Bad girl. There's a cicada on a honeycomb, just like the top of the Vatican. And the biggest altar in the world, the biggest altar in the world is not only a sheep with its tongue sticking out, it is also an image of a large bug. There it is. There it is. This is a large locust. And the mouth of the locust is the female reproductive system. And God's angels are caught in a system of transmutation. And we're being converted through the host body system into food for another race of beings. And that other race of beings are locusts, and they're going to come out of the pit. And that's why human in a slave collar turns into a locust from the pit, because that's what we're used for. A human in a slave collar becomes a locust from the pit. The human host body is nothing more than a transmutation machine in order to convert God's angels into food for another race of beings. When you turn a CIA badge upside down, it becomes a head of an alien. One of them. That's what it is. Did y'all know there's not really a word for female? Female, on the other hand, comes from Latin familia, which is feminine. There's no real prefix of the letter Fe. But when you take Fe and you put it in front of the word male, Fe is from the periodic table. Fe is iron. Fe is iron. Female. Iron mixed with man, miry clay. I have nothing against women at all. The woman was used as a host body system to destroy God's angels and to trick them. That's why they worship the Virgin. Okay, now I've at least got the information out. I've at least got the information out in one place. And I'm going to redo this. I want to show you some of the outward manifestations these people have. Here's a girl with her tattoo is serpent skin as well as a honeycomb hive. See it? That's what that represents. Lord, when he leads, he knows exactly how to lead. Let me show you what he told me to look at, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. I'm going to read you something. If I can find it. The Lord God told me, Jonathan, look up the meaning of cicada. Cicada. Okay, now, you remember the entire host body system is run by twins. V and V right there. So the whole host body system is run by a system of twins, and it is manifest by the letter W, which is two interlocking V's. That's the way they hide it in plain sight. Like Prisoner Wine Company, the Prisoner Wine Company, the letter W is two interlocking V's. See? That's why the serpent rules over it now. Let me show you what the Lord showed me. He told me, to look up the meaning I don't know what happened. There you go. He told me to look up the symbolic meaning of a cicada. Okay, I'm gonna kind of skip to the parts that are important, and I want to show you the way the Lord God leads. Okay, so there's this girl, and may I share a fond memory with you? I remember years ago. Hang on, let me turn this off. I'm sorry about that. I should have turned that off a long time ago. I hope it didn't really mess with the video. May I share a fond memory with you? I remember years ago finishing a long day of backbreaking work with my friend Carolina's garden in Texas. Okay. So they were working in the garden. Our toiling in Texas heat was accompanied by the music of cicadas the entire time. A soft droning, a supernatural humming that waxed and waned. Look at that. Waxed and waned. Waxing moon and a waning moon. They're working in a garden. Interesting. Throughout the entire afternoon. Their song was a backbeat to our work, a driving reverberation through the landscape that seemed to sustain our energy and buoy our endurance. At dusk, our garden chores complete, Carolina and I settled our bones in our wicker chairs and surveying the results of our hard work. As we sat drinking rose-hipped iced teas, we also settled into the music of the cicada. That's when Carolina shared some interesting insights about the cicada with me. This page on symbolic cicada meaning, which is talking about this right here. This page on symbolic cicada meaning is a result of Carolina's observations with a few of my own tossed in the mix. The vocabulary here shows me that the same spirit wrote this article as everything that I just got through showing you. She said, how can they keep humming like that? I mean, they don't run out of breath. I asked Carolina after savoring a long sip of tea, sinking deeper into the wicker chair from exhaustion. Wow, this is all cryptic. Look what she says. Silly Vivi. Silly Vivi. Silly Vivi, Carolina replied. She called me Vivi. I'm not sure why. So let me ask you, did the Lord God tell me to go look at this? Or do you think that by some just bizarre stretch of the imagination, all of a sudden I came up with some symbolic meaning of cicadas? And yeah, it just happened to have Vivi in there when the whole thing I'm showing you, the mystery of all mysteries, is made manifest in public by two V's interlocking, making a W to indicate the host body system is a twin system that is ruled over by Apollyon in the moon goddess. Or did the Lord lead me here? Silly Vivi, Carolina replied. She called me Vivi. I'm not sure why. Cicadas don't sing like we do. They produce sound in their abdomens with their tymbals. It's like a drum roll in their bellies. They purr in large groups as a whole. Cicadas are very big into teamwork, and they sing in unison for the, look at this, benefit of the group rather than the exaltation of the individual. That's a lesson we learned today. By working together in the garden, we got twice as much accomplished. Teamwork reaps higher rewards. And I thought about this for a while. Then what's the cicada's reward for singing as they do? Love, Carolina said, matter-of-factly. Huh, I inquired, hoping for more detail. We're hearing the male cicadas crooning to woo their females. It's better than Frank Sinatra. Oh, Frankie. As she said this, Carolina made a swooning motions as if gone limp by Sinatra's honey-dipped vocals. Sometimes it takes a village to encourage love to come our way. It reminded me of a close-knit families in which matchmakers and kitchen table meetings among matriarchs of the family gathered together for long conversations about what young men would best pair with their lovely daughters. Indeed, the cicada is a symbol of love, matchmaking, and calling out to our proper mate. Vivi Did you know cicadas can lay dormant for over a decade? Carolina asked, wrestling me out of my reverie about a love bug song. No, why is that, I asked. They choose their own time to be born. They choose their own time to be born. That's powerful, don't you think? She lifted up her eyebrow as she said this to me, then tipped her rose-hip tea to her lips for a sip. Cicadas nestle themselves in the cool earth almost as in hibernation, feeding on the roots of trees until their internal body clocks sound an alarm, resurrecting them from the earth. The symbolic implications of this were staggering to me. It spoke to me about things like timing, inner knowledge, patience, resurrection, and also a symbolic partnership with mother, or a symbiotic, and also a symbiotic partnership with Mother Earth, as well as a special union with trees. I wonder why that's in bold print. Union with trees. You mean like the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? As an aspect that's always intriguing me, as trees are phenomenal wisdom keepers. They have a keen ability to sense the right time to emerge from their earthly cocoons in order to produce the most offspring. Here's a girl with an Ouroboros. Here's a girl with the cicada with all the symbology of the moon goddess and the triple goddess, as well as a transmutation circle. Here's a girl with a transmutation circle. This is part of the transmutation circle. Here's a cicada with an X underneath it for the X chromosome. Here's a cicada that's within what's part of a transmutation circle. Here's a cicada hatching that's on a shell. Here's a girl with a cicada on her back. That's the reflection of a mirror. Oh, you mean like isotoxal? Exactly. That's interesting. I found another girl with a cicada with the reflection in a mirror, like isotoxal. Yes. There's one with the all-seeing eye. There's one with an image of a skull representing death. There's an image of one with a lightning bolt in the middle representing Lucifer and love upside down. Waxing and waning moons. Bad girl. But I think my most favorite of all is when the Lord told me to look up Mother of Exiles. Mystery soft. That's why these girls have transmutation circles. Everything fit together like a glove, didn't it? I think I'm missing a folder right now. Just one more. Polyon. Yeah, here we go. Again, there's a transmutation circle right there. Look at the symbology. Look what's in the middle. Right side up, upside down. That's the system. We're gonna edit this video. I'm gonna post this just like it is because we're having so many problems. There it is. There's a kelipot, and in the middle of the kelipot is the cell that, the hexagram, which represents like the cell, of a hive. And what comes out of the hive in the middle is the sigil of Baphomet. It's the above ground avatar system. Again, here's a transmutation circle, right side up, upside down, made by the dragon. In the middle, the sigil of Baphomet. Here's a transmutation circle, and you have the waxing or waning moon with other symbology, and you have the right side up, upside down triangles interlocking, making a transmutation circle, and again, transmutation means the action or changing or state of being changed into another form, the conversion or transformation of one species into another. The ancient metaphysical science, mystical art of manipulating and altering matter by using natural energy. This act is known as transmutation, and its sequence is described as comprehension, understanding the inherent structure and properties of the atomic or molecular makeup of a particular material to be transmuted like one of God's angels, including the flow and balance of potential and kinetic energy within. Deconstruction, the human host body, using energy to break down the physical structure. The human host body was bred with the serpent, so now you have the deconstruction of the angel, using energy to break down the physical structure of the identified material into a more malleable state so as to easily reshaped into a new form. The angel is caught into a host body Kelopot system ruled over by the Queen of Heaven, which is duplicitous. Then the energy goes into the pit where it's used for a new being called a locust. Reconstruction, continuing the flow of energy so as to reform the material into a new shape. From angel to human, from angel to human to locust. From angel to human to locust. Y'all got that? From angel, one of God's angels. There they are. Going into the female reproductive system. Sorry, the program it's going to go backwards. I'm going to have to try and go forward one more time. From angel to human to locust from the pit. That's the cycle. Okay, Lord, please let this work. Oh, jeez. We'll clean this up, but there's no other way I can do it because we have so many glitches going on. Again, so it's from an angel of God, because you were cast out, cast down. You took in Lucifer's words, you believed him. You ate from that tree, you took in the words. The fall in the garden, representation of the fall of all of us. Adam and Eve. Eve was the one that fell first, by the way. We were promised we could have host bodies. The way you get those is, Elohim said, let us create man in our image. Selem, vain show. Representative figure, especially an idol. That's why in Genesis 1:26, and Elohim, gods, magistrates, angels, said, let us create man in our image. Vain show. It's a total vain show. The human body is a joke. It's an energy transfer system. It's also a phantom image, just like it says, Genesis 1:26. Vain show, phantom image, representative figure, especially an idol. So they build idols trap your mind, because the whole thing's a trick. Wow. So, well, I'd like to find this one particular image real quick. There we go. Here we go. So, there's a giant head of a locust, and it's taking in God's angels into the mouth of the locust. Let's see. Into the mouth of the locust, God's angels are being taken in, and they're being birthed out into the human flesh, because the mouth of the locust is actually a female vagina right here. It's a female reproductive system right here. And so then we're being birthed out into the flesh, which is a kelipot, which the Queen of Heaven rules over. And then our energy is cannibalized, and we are sent. And so the second process, the breaking down, the deconstruction of the energy, the deconstruction using energy to break down the physical structure, the human host body, which decomposes, of the identified material into a more malleable state so as to easily reshape into a new form, then that energy has to go to the pit because it never got converted. And then in the pit, the reconstruction, the continuing the flow of energy so as to reform the material into a new shape, and it's consumed and it's used to birth a race of beings from the pit. That's it. Okay, I know I've said that like 5 times, but this is just so mind-destroying to know that this is the whole system. And the way the Lord confirmed it was, he told me, go look up the Mother of Exiles. And I typed Mother of Exiles into Google Images, and that image popped up, and the Lord told me, there it is. She's holding a cicada, a locust. Isn't that just mind-boggling? There it is. Wow. Now that I've at least got this information out, let me show you an image of the triple goddess real quick. You can go type this into Google Images. There's a representation of triple goddess. What do you notice? Let's see. I'll go to Apollo 2. There you go. There you go. What's on her chest? Same thing. Same thing. These are above ground avatars. Breeders. It's a breeding colony. They use them to breed. Here's an image of, Hecate, the triple goddess, the moon goddess, the Virgin de Guadalupe, and all these other images of the Virgin. They have the moon under their feet and they're clothed with the sun. That sure changes a lot of stuff people thought about some of the scriptures too, doesn't it? This is also a moon in various forms. This guy with this big cicada. That's the moon, just cleverly disguised, as well as her as well. That is the spirit that you're dealing with right there. That's what these things are. We're talking pure evil. Mystery solved, folks. All right. Now, when I have a little more time and things are working a little better, we'll edit this stuff and we'll go through it, see what we can do to really clean it up, make it short and sweet. But there it is. I had to get it out. All right, guys. Anyway, God bless you guys. I needed to get it out no matter what. Now this information's out. Download this. Download all this information. Grab every single folder from our show note folders. Grab the twins folders. Grab the Apollyon folders. Apollyon 1 and 2. Okay, the information's out now. We got it. Apollyon 1, Apollyon 2, The cicada folder, get it. All this information is more valuable than all the money in the world. It's the mystery of human existence. All right.